Hello, and welcome to Australia Immigration Matters live question and answer session for the month of May. I hope you guys are doing well. Please let me know in the chat box if you can hear me well, so that we can start our session formally. We will wait for our audience to join. We will wait for a few people to join, and once the questions start to come in, we will commence our session. We will be happy to take your questions and to answer your questions with respect to the Australian immigration and respective matters. So just confirm if you guys can hear me well, then we will commence formally. Okay, I guess we can start. We can start now. So first of all, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining the session. We are glad to help you as usual through our Facebook group, through our YouTube channel, through our social media platforms. But we expect from you guys to support us in return by subscribing to our YouTube channel, by following our social media platforms, and also by sharing the link of our Facebook group and social media platforms with others who are looking to migrate to Australia. So, with that note, let's start taking the questions which have already started flowing in. We have our first question from Aditya Sharma. And the question, there are actually three questions from Aditya Sharma. So let's start with that one. Will there be any changes in the qualification points, as I hold a master's degree but did not get it assessed yet? And also, do we need a degree relevant to the occupation? Or we can have a basic requirement of the qualification, occupation, and then another higher degree for other specialization. So Aditya, there are speculations that in the coming financial year, with respect to the changes in the EOI points test, we are expecting that there might be changes with respect to the qualification or education points. We are expecting that currently, as they have already indicated in the last discussion paper that they are thinking to increase the slabs of the education levels from bachelor's towards the PhD or doctorate degree. So currently, the difference of points between a bachelor and doctorate degree is just 5 points, which can be overcome through other points criteria easily. So what they are planning to do is definitely they would be giving more weighting to the PhD degree holders, whereas it is quite possible that they might differentiate the points between a bachelor's degree holder and a master's degree holder. Now, coming to the second part of your question, which is about the field of education. So definitely the field of education will matter with respect to claiming points for your nominated occupation. But as you know that the PhD degree holders are also eligible to claim their points for their PhD once they have done their PhD and get their PhD assessed as well from the relevant assessing authority. They can claim the PhD points, 20 points, in addition to the existing bachelor degree, 15 points. So in difference, they can get the 5 point. Even if the PhD's field of study is different from the postgraduate or undergraduate degree, still the PhD degree can contribute the additional 5 points to your EOI. So we are expecting the similar pattern for master's degree if the Department of Home Affairs will come up with the differentiation of points between the bachelor and master's degree. So let's wait for July. I hope that by the start of July, they will be coming up with the proposed changes in the EOI points test, as we are anticipating. The next question is again from Aditya Sharma, and this is regarding what are the changes expected in English proficiency points and partner experience and qualification, and considering current scenario visa backlog, what will be the quota allocation in next FY? So this is a very good question, Aditya. So basically, what we are expecting is that with respect to the English proficiency point, there are three levels: the competent, proficient, and the superior level with 0, 10, and 20 points. We might be seeing more weighting to superior level. With they might come up with a new slab between the proficient and the superior level, but this is just our anticipation. But there are more chances that they will come up with a different way of calculating the partner skills points. Right now, the partner can contribute maximum of 10 points, 5 from the competent English and 5 from the skills assessment of the partner. But we are expecting that the partner might be able to contribute more points to the primary applicant's EOI, more than 10, because we have seen during the current financial year that the more weightage and the more preference is being given to the applicants, to the EOIs where the partner had a nominated occupation of high priority along with experience. So right now the partner's experience is not mattering, doesn't matter in with respect to the invitation preference, whereas the partner's skills assessment is only contributing 5 points. So we are expecting that maybe they will come up with a higher weighting to the partner skills from more than 5 points in the coming EOI points test change. The last part of your question is about next financial year's visa and the nomination allocations quota. So this is an important topic, and I think we also covered this topic in our last live information session in the month of May. That Department of Home Affairs has already shared the planning levels for the next financial year, which is almost similar to the previous financial year. However, what they want is they want to reduce the overall net overseas migration in their country. They want to reduce it to half, from around 550,000 to around 260,000 in the next financial year. And this is about net overseas migration. Now, net overseas migration uh, contains all the visa categories, including the temporary and permanent and skilled and student and post-study work visa and humanitarian visas. All kinds of visas are there in the net overseas migration. So what we have seen, which could be considered as a good news for the skilled migration aspirants, or the employer-sponsored visa aspirants, is that they haven't reduced the planning levels for the permanent skilled migration category for the next financial year. They have reduced it just 5,000 places. So right now, what we have seen that as also we can see in the distribution of the planning level for the next financial year, is that they have reduced the 189s quota to half, but they have kept the visa quota for 190 and 491 almost the same. In fact, they have increased to 33,000 each, whereas they have majorly increased the quota for the employer sponsored visa. Now that is very important, and that shows their direction for the next financial years, that they want people to find an employment either from onshore or from offshore, and try to get an employer sponsored visa category, either 482 or the new skills in demand visa, which is going to come in the next financial year, or the 186 visa or the other employer sponsored visa categories. For those cases, there is much quota, highest quota in the next financial year, whereas the second highest quota is for 190 and 491. Now, as we have seen that the backlog is now relaxing as we are moving towards the end of the current financial year, so it is expected that the next financial year, the nomination allocations for the states could be better than the previous financial year. We saw in the current financial year that the total nomination allocations for the states for 190 and 491 were around 16,700 places only. So what they have done is they have almost issued all the invitations in the current financial year using their nomination quota. And as the backlog has reduced with Department of Home Affairs for the current financial year for both 190 and 491, so we are expecting that maybe in the next financial year, the nomination allocations for the state and territories of Australia might be better than the 16,700 places. It could be more than 20,000 places. This is our anticipation, and this is the answer to your detailed answer to your question. So let's take up the next one. It is from Namal. What is the possible chance for a construction project manager with 85 points in 491 subclass with coming round in FY? So Namal, for sure, construction project manager is a very good occupation, a high priority occupation when we talk about infrastructure sector. So infrastructure sector is already being prioritized by New South Wales, Victoria, and also by Western Australia. So if you have 85 points with 10 points in English, if you can retake your English exam and try to score superior level in that, and with that your total points go or reach up to 95 points for 491 for your construction project manager occupation, then you will definitely be having a pre-invite from NSW. This is a high priority occupation when we see under the infrastructure sector. Now let's take up the next one. Um, this is from none. Okay, your name is not there, but the question is that are there any changes in these points? Why will already filled EOIs and ROIs of previous FY will be affected? Then so we have already covered a bit about the changes with respect to the EOI points. The major changes are going to come with respect to the age criteria, qualification criteria, and the partner points criteria, and maybe work experience points criteria, the rationalization of the work experience points criteria between the onshore and the offshore applicants. And maybe we will be seeing that a few points criteria, for example, the professional year or study in regional Australia or the community language, the NATI test, might these criteria might be abolished. It's not finalized yet. So the currently filed EOIs will remain intact until the new points test system will be implemented, and we will see, and it is quite possible that the existing submitted EOIs by the applicants may be migrated automatically through their system towards the new points test system. This is all yet to be seen. We are only anticipating. Obviously we will wait for the official announcement from Department of Home Affairs regarding this matter. Whereas and you need to understand that the one EOI stays valid for 2 years from its date of submission, whereas the ROIs also stay valid for Victoria. If you're talking about Victoria, that also stay valid, and it will be considered for the next financial year as well. So until there is any announcement from the Department of Home Affairs or from the state to resubmit the EOI, you do not need to make any changes, or you do not need to withdraw or resubmit your EOI, and your current applications are still valid. Now let's take up the next one. This is from Khizr Abbas. What are the chances for other special scientists onshore with 80 points for 190 and 90 points for 491 visa? So other special scientist is a good occupation, Khizr. So I believe that the chances are fair for 90 points for 491. I'm not sure about 80 points for 190, but if you can improve like 5 or 10 points more, like from 85 for 190 would be a very good case. And similarly, 95 points for 491 could be a very, very good case for your occupation. So try for that if it is possible for you. Now let's take up the next one. This is from Khizr Abbas. Again, will students in Australia lose 5 points due to new points test system? I think we have already covered that it's not yet final, that which of the points criteria of UI will be abolished. If you're talking about the study in regional Australia, 5 points, yes, they have discussed about it. They have proposed to remove this points criteria. However, the Australian study requirement, ASR 5 points is going to remain there, and specialist education qualification is also 10 points is also going to remain there. We will see how they will come up with a new points system. Obviously, they do not want to discourage. They just want to balance the points criteria in a way that both onshore and offshore and the global talent can be attracted towards Australia, because Australian government currently is thinking that the global talent is kind of moving towards the other first world countries rather than Australia, and they have to come up with a new point system because their current point system is old enough, is not working, and is not fulfilling the purpose of the economy and the industry for which all the occupations are being demanded. So this is what is expected. And the next question is from Thinker. Any new update on previous subclass 192? 192. So if you're asking about Pacific engagement visa, yes, I think they in the last budget announcement, they have clearly mentioned that they will be prioritizing the Pacific engagement visa subclass 192, and there will be special program for the 192 cases. And if you are one of them, you should definitely go for it if you are eligible. There is no special update, but there will be a special quota or a direct PR pathway for the Pacific engagement countries for the cases, similar to the New Zealand pathway. They have a special quota for the direct PR pathway rather than going through a work visa pathway. So this you can explore for the Pacific engagement visa for subclass 192. Now let's take up the next one. It's from Shahryar Mazhar. If we receive pre-invite from any state and submit state nomination fee, then does it matter that we will get final invite? Does it mean that we okay? So Shahryar, yes, if you have claimed your EOI points and you are able to prove those EOI points starting from your age until your state nomination or until your partner points, if you have the documents related to all of those points, and if you haven't claimed any points false in your EOI, then definitely you are going to get the state nomination final invitation after the process. Obviously, it requires the application to be submitted along with the fee. The next question is from Yasir Munir. Sir, what are the changes expected in point table? I think we have already covered this question, Yasir, that the changes with respect to the EOI are expected with respect to the age, qualification, and work experience and partner points. And we will be discussing about this, I hope, in the next live information session or in the next live question and answer session in a month, because the things will be we think that things will clear. We will have a better clarity from the Department of Home Affairs. The official wait for the official announcements and words for this, rather than believing on all the rumors currently going on in the about this topic. Now let's take up the next one. Is from Sravanthi Reddy. Will they ask for dependent professional documents even if we don't claim any points for this skill or experience? So if you are not claiming partner points with respect to the skills assessment, you do not need to submit any documents for your partner's qualification, work experience, or any skills related documents. If you are claiming your partner's English 5 points, then you have to submit the partner's English exam scorecard, which is proving the 5 points of the competent English. That's the rule. Now let's take up the next one. Is from Faizan Rauf. Assalamu alaikum. Can we invite our parents to Australia on a PR visa after we become Australian nationals? Canada has a similar PR program for parents. Yes, Faizan, there is. So there are basically there are two kinds of visas. One is related to parents. So that is that I think that's called contributory parents visas. That is a permanent visa for your parents. And also, if you have if you have one parent, then that case has a separate visa, that like age dependent visa, and those are applicable for the people who are currently at least permanent resident of Australia, and they can apply for the age dependent or age resident visa for their the current parent, and that is also a permanent visa. Again, you have to explore the parent visa category. What you can do is you can post this question in our group, and we will give you the link of the parent visa, which is a permanent resident visa for the parent, and all the eligibility criteria would be mentioned on that official page. Let's take up the next one. Is from Sean Ali. I have 55 basic points now. I update my 491 EOI. PTE is pending, but not time for preparation of PTE. As engineering technologies, is there any chance for 189? I can take PTE and put 189 EOI at 65. So, Sean, so first of all, you should not submit the EOI until and unless you have done your English language test, that is either PTE or IELTS, and you have got your skills assessment. So if you have got both of these and you are saying that your total points are still reaching up to 55 base points, you should wait for your PTE results, PTE result to come, and then you can add that PTE scores and the reference number in your EOI before submitting your EOI for the 491. If you are going to submit, even if we are going to submit for the 189, you need 65 points. So 65 points are the minimum basic points to submit an EOI. Even if you are submitting an EOI for at 55 points, it will not it will be useless EOI. You shouldn't submit the EOI only when you reach up to 65 base points for 189, 190, or 491. The next question, you have to find the time to prepare for PTE, because this is like one of the prerequisites of submitting an EOI. You cannot submit an EOI without an English language exam and for skills assessment. I hope you have done your skills assessment, but you have to complete the PTE or English language requirement before submitting an EOI. This is like the mandatory requirement. You cannot skip it. You have to find time. You can enroll for the coaching or the online classes for PTE. If you think that you are unable to prepare it yourself, but you have to put some effort to prepare for the PTE before submitting your EOI. Apologies. So now let's take up the next one is from Babar Zaman. What does EOI suspend means? And are NT Northern Territory invited people can work in any regional area or only Northern Territory? Okay. So your question is about that. What is the meaning of suspension of EOI? So there are like different status of EOI. When you submit, it's called submitted, and when you are invited, it's converted into invited. So you have in your control. What you have in your control is to submit an EOI, withdraw an EOI, or to suspend an EOI. The difference between withdraw and suspend is that for withdraw, the EOI is deleted from the system, whereas for the suspend, your EOI remains in the system. However, it is like up on a pause status. You can reinstate up. You can reinstate suspended EOI in case you want to reconsider your EOI. So you want to suspend EOI for any particular reason. Otherwise, it's always better to go for the withdrawal so that you can resubmit your EOI. Because if your EOI will remain in the pool in the system, it will remain valid only for 2 years. So the suspension period will also be part of those 2 years. The next question is about the Northern Territory. So one thing you need to understand is that if you're talking about the Northern Territory 491, you are free to land, go and work and live in any designated regional area of Australia, even if you are nominated by 491. I know what you are saying, that the Northern Territory and a few other states also get the commitment from the applicant while the visa is being lodged, while the nomination is being lodged. However, as this is not a legal requirement, this is not a legal obligation, this is a moral obligation for sure. Since a state is inviting you and nominating you for a particular case, for a particular occupation, so obviously they have a demand for your occupation. So first you should try your best to go to your state and search for an employment, or search for to settle in the state. However, you are legally allowed to move to any other state, any other regional area of Australia on your 491 visa, even if it is nominated by Northern Territory. Now let's take up the next one. This is from Sudhakar Reddy. Chances for HRA. HRA is Human Resource Advisor with 90 points, proficient English, and skilled partners this coming year. Okay, if we are talking about 90 points for 491, then I would say that the chances would not be very high, because Human Resource Advisor and Human Resource Manager both are not in high demand currently in Australia, as I believe that this occupation is not having enough shortage with the states or also with the federal government and in the capital and territories. So if you can reach up to like 95 or 100 points with by scoring superior English, then definitely you will have a better chance. But with 90 points for 491 for proficient English, the chances would remain medium, not high, but no, I will not say that the chances are low. So now let's take up the next one. Is from Sravanthi Reddy. Will they reject the visa due to lung infection which got cured by hospitalization, but just with antibiotics? Well, I don't think so that a lung infection which has already been cured can cause can become a reason of visa refusal. I believe that obviously you will go through the medical examination, medical health assessment, and through the health assessment, the Australian BUPA will obviously be assessing all the test reports which you will be providing through the medical lab or the panel physician, and they will be giving the final decision about the condition, about the severity of your lung infection, and how much it is cured, and how much the medication or the treatment would it be required if you will migrate to Australia, and how much burden will it pose on the Australian healthcare system. So this is how they think, and this is how they make the decisions. But I believe that the lung infection which has been cured will not reject your visa. You should go for the medical examination and your visa application. The next question is from Love. Hello, sir. I have lodged for 91 visa application lodged in March 2023. Got application commencement email in May 2024. Any idea when I will get my grant? So, congratulations, since you have already got your commencement email. Now you are talking about the 491 visa. Currently, if you have already seen that the global processing time for 491 visa, they have increased to 24 months for 90% of the application. So this is not a realistic timeline for sure, because this is based on the previous visa applications, previous 24 months previous visa applications. So we are expecting that since the backlog is being reduced as we are moving towards the new financial year, so we are expecting that the 491 visa applications, the global processing time, average processing time for this visa will also reduce from 24 months to like 16 or 18 months. So since you have applied in March 2023, you can expect in like September or October 2023, 2024, your visa outcome. Now let's take up the next one. It's from Nima Sanchit. Hi, I am under 491 visa. If I marry Aussie citizen, can I apply for partner visa and cancel 491 visa? And I am under 491 visa and my employer is overseas. How often should I pay the taxes? Well, you can marry Aussie citizen, and you can apply for partner visa, because that's definitely another visa. But you do not need to cancel your 491 visa. If you are eligible to apply for a partner visa after getting married, you have to apply for the visa, and ultimately when your new partner visa will be granted, your existing 491 visa will automatically be superseded. But just you need to double check whether you are eligible to apply for a partner visa subclass while being on a 491 visa subclass. So this you need to check. Otherwise, you do not need to cancel. Your visa will automatically be converted to a new partner visa. The question number 2, which you have asked, is that since you are working for an employer which is overseas outside of Australia, you have to declare this income in your notice of assessment for Australian Taxation Office (ATO), and in your notice of assessment you have to declare this income, and also you have to declare that either you are being a resident of Australia, are you paying the taxes in the country from where you are earning, the source country, or where you are currently destined in. If you are not paying the taxes there, then you have to pay the taxes in Australia. And this is as per, you have to discuss it with some tax lawyer or tax attorney, and you need to file your income tax returns according to the Australian taxation law with ATO. This is very, very important, because this will impact your future progression towards the PR 191 visa application. Now let's take up the next one. Is from Sudhakar Reddy. Chances for an electronic engineer with 80 points with proficient English and a skilled partner this coming year. I think we have already discussed that. Electronics engineer, the good chances start from 90 points. We have seen 90 and 95 points invites in this current financial year from Victoria for electronics engineer for 190. So try to improve your points. Now let's take up the next one. It's from Paras Verma. What are the chances of civil engineering technician offshore with 90 points for 491 and 80 points for 190? And my spouse occupation is private tutor, and her points are 80 for 491 and 70 for 190. Well, private tutor and teacher occupation is not in demand. So I would say that the chances would remain like medium for 80 points for 191 and 70 points for 190. However, civil engineering technician is a very, very good occupation, and for sure you have high chances at 90 points for 491 and 80 points for 190. But it depends whether are you an onshore applicant or an offshore applicant. If you are an onshore applicant and currently living and working in Western Australia or New South Wales, then you have great chances, because this occupation, civil engineering technician, is included in the building and construction industry, in the infrastructure industry of Australia. So definitely you have high chances if you are either an onshore applicant of Western Australia. However, if we talk about New South Wales or Victoria or Queensland or South Australia, if you are an offshore applicant, you will have equal chances with as an offshore applicant for this occupation for these states as an onshore applicant. Now let's take up the next one. It's from Samanthi Reddy again. Can we expect the processing time to further reduce to 8 months from 14 months from this December? By this December. So if you're talking about, I'm not sure. If you're talking about 190, I think you're talking about 190. I will not say that it will reduce to 8 months. I can consider that even if the current average processing time of 190 visa application can reduce from 14 to like 10 to 12 months, it will still be a good case, because the currently the backlog of 190 is around 20 to 25,000 visas on hand applications with the Department of Home Affairs. So they are and obviously in the month of June the number of visas processed would be very, very low. It will be like in hundreds of visas only they can process, because of the limited remaining planning levels for 190. The visas processing will start speeding up from July, and we can consider that from July, August, or by September, the new average processing time which will be released by then would reduce this the current average processing times of 24, 14, and 15 months of 491, 190, and 491 visas to at least like 3 to 4 months improvement. Now let's take up the next one. So future of NATI, Yasir, you are asking about future of NATI. It's a very good question. So currently in the latest budget released document, we have seen that they have reiterated about the abolishment of study in regional Australia criteria and the professional year program criteria, but they haven't mentioned about the NATI criteria. They mentioned about abolishment of NATI criteria in the migration strategy document, which was released in December 2023. Now, we can consider that they are still rethinking about abolishing the NATI criteria, because the NATI as a system, they are like a proper earning method as well for Australia, and a lot of people are paying this hefty amount to appear for the NATI test for those mere 5 points. So I believe that they might be rethinking. Even if they will not be rethinking, they can come up with a cutoff date to abolish the NATI points, the 5 points criteria. And we are anticipating that they might they might continue to consider the 5 points for the NATI test takers before that cutoff date. So let's hope that it turns out good for the aspirants. Now let's take up the next one. Is from Jasmine Kaur. If we are on TR and want to do DIP of nursing after finishing TR, what's the next option? Which visa we can go? If you are on TR, so I am considering that you're talking about the 485 visa. I am thinking that you are considering about 485 TR. So if you're studying on a post-study work visa, if you're studying on a 485 visa, then you will not have any other option or another option to apply for a TR after completing your studies. You can only apply for a 485 TR visa after completing an education, an eligible qualification eligible qualification on a student visa. Now you're talking about the diploma of nursing. So diploma was already not an eligible qualification to apply for a 485 DR. So obviously, while you are studying on a 485 visa for diploma of nursing, you should your first priority should be to find an employment based on your completed qualification for a registered nurse for a nursing related field, and start working with the employer and try to get an employer sponsored visa. Alternatively, in the meantime, you should get your skills assessment done from NMAC or registered nurse occupation assessment authority, and submit your EOIs for 189 and 190 for the state where you are residing. Now, registered nurse, whichever field you are talking about, is a high priority occupation, and you will have great chances even after completing your TR. Now, let's take up the next one. This is from Gisop. Can we submit bank statement for only the months showing salary, as I have more than 6 years of bank statement, and even after compressing file sizes above limit given by IMI account? Yes, Gisop. So basically, Gisop, what you can do is through you can only include the pages where your salary transaction is being shown, and you can highlight that transaction before scanning. So you can compile the pages of the salary transactions of throughout your employment months and with highlighted and scanned file, and then I hope that the file size will reduce, which will come under the file size limit given by immigration account. The next question is from the Quality Pharmacist. Sir, what do you think about the EOI number in backlog is true number, as it's a huge backlog? Yes, the EOI number backlog which is being shown in the freedom of information request document or the other administration document, if you're talking about that, that's a correct number because that's an official number. We are currently anticipating that the backlog is going to be reduced in the coming months because a number of invites, the new invites were very less in the current financial year as compared to the previous financial year. So the backlog of the previous financial year, which we are talking about the months of April, May, and June 2023, the visas lodged in those months will be processed, and then once the current financial year's visas will start processing. We are talking about July 2023 onward. The backlog will be reduced much, and the processing time will be reduced much. Now, the current backlog, which you can see, is also including the primary and the secondary applicants. So you also need to consider that the backlog means total visas. Now, let's take up the next one. Is from this is from Vijay Lakshmi. When will the new point system be implemented? Well, no one knows, to be honest. This is unpredictable that when it will be implemented, but we are anticipating that they will be announcing a date by July for the implementation timeline. Now let's take up the next one. Is from Noisy Simple for employment assessment. If I am currently doing job, then can EOBI and bank statement is enough for assessment? For the employment assessment, the best practice is to submit a few documents from your employer and at least one payment evidence from a third party. So a few documents from your employer can include like your employer employment reference letter, your pay slips, your bank statement showing the employment tenure, entire employment tenure, the employment contract, offer letter or appointment letter, and at least and substantiate your employment claim by adding at least one third party employment linked evidence or payment evidence, such as your tax return documentation or superannuation documentation, like end of service old age benefit documentation. Or you can also add any insurance document which is related to your employment, where the your a part of your pay was being deducted for that insurance or for the superannuation or for the tax. So you need to couple these documents together in order to claim your employment points for the nomination and visa application purposes. So now let's take up the next one. Is from London Diaries. Hello, sir. I am an overseas pharmacist and cleared CAPS exam and PTE. Now, which state is best at the moment of 190 and 491? If you are an overseas or offshore applicant as a pharmacist, I believe either you are a retail or hospital or industrial pharmacist, or you could be like a pharmacy technician. If you have cleared CAPS, so I am assuming that you are either retail or hospital pharmacist, and you have cleared your PTE as well. Now, it all depends upon your EOI points. You need to understand that the current financial year, although the retail or hospital pharmacist occupations are part of healthcare sector, however, there haven't been much invites for these occupations. We haven't seen much invites for these occupations. However, we were expecting these occupations to get a lot of invites. So I hope in the next financial year, the things will be better for the pharmacists, but it can only be anticipated or said like that. One more thing you need to understand is that for the pharmacists, there are a lot of applicants who couldn't get the invites in the current financial year. So obviously, for the next financial year, there will be a lot of people in the pool who would be waiting for the invites. So the competition would be very high. So it all depends upon your EOI points. If you have like more than 90 points or more than 80 points for 190 or 491, you could have a good chance of invite from either Victoria, NSW. I can also consider like you can say, if you are eligible, then Queensland and South Australia. So you should submit your EOI for all the states in which your occupation is eligible, as you are an offshore applicant, rather than selecting any state. Now let's take up the next one. This is from Shadow. Shadow, what is your guess in which week of June does the 189 will happen? So if they will be conducting a 189 round, that will happen. I think I expect that can happen by mid or before mid of June, because there are very less chances that there will be a 189 round in the last 2 weeks of June, because that will be like a closing of the financial year. So you can expect that from now until mid of June, there could be a 189 round if they are planning to conduct, as they have mentioned about it, indicated about it in their latest administration released document. Now let's take up the next one. It's from Myra Sami. What is the scope of software engineering in the next fiscal year? I guess you are talking about. So software engineer is definitely a very, very high priority occupation and will remain so in the next financial year. But on the other hand, it has a very high competition as well, because a lot of people are waiting for invite already at software engineer at 85 or 90 points for 190. So if you want to pursue your EOI, and if you want to have hope for an invite as software engineer, you should reach up to like 90 points at least for 190 and 95 or 100 points for 491 for to beat the competition. We have seen invites for 85 points as well for software engineers, especially from, if you're talking about New South Wales, Victoria, and South Australia as well. But obviously a handful of invites at 85 points. More invites were given at 90 or 95 points. So try to reach up to those points level in order to have a high hope in the next financial year being a software engineer occupation. Now let's take up the next one. Is from Sean Ali. Please explain the remaining seats of 189. What happened to them? As we are anticipating that they might be conducting another round, we have seen only one invitation round of 189 by Department of Home Affairs, that was of 8,300 places. Currently, they have around 9,300 or 9,400 visa applications on hand to process in the current financial year. They had around 30 to 31,000 places overall for their planning levels, which they couldn't consume. We are anticipating that currently 9,300 places, 9,300 visas are on hand, and throughout the current financial year, from July until May, they were processing the existing 189 visa applications using the planning level of 189, which was around 30 or 31,000. A rough estimation, we can say that there could be like 5 to 10,000, maybe 5 to 8,000 places left with 189 for which they can conduct a 189 round in the coming 2 weeks. Let's hope for that. Now let's take up the next one. Is from Amir Sohail. Can I claim single points if the nikah nama is not computerized? So it's not about, I'm not sure what is the meaning of nikah nama is not computerized. If your marriage, if you don't know, if you haven't registered your marriage in your state or province or wherever you are currently living, if it is not registered with the government body, then you are still not a married status as per the government record. However, there is an important consideration, an important point you need to consider in this matter. If you will register your marriage with the state or with the union council or with whatever government body or authority your country has, if you will register it even at a later date, they can refer to your existing manual nikah nama or the marriage certificate, and that the date on your paper based marriage certificate would still be there on the record, and they will replicate the same date of the marriage in your official government marriage certificate. So in that case, it can be a problem. If you think that you will register the marriage later and the date of the marriage will also be a later date, only then you can submit your UI as a single status. However, this doesn't look ethical in my opinion. Now let's take up the next one. Is from Sravanthi Reddy. With Australia PR, we can go and stay in New Zealand as well. And do we need to follow any process in case if we want to go and settle in New Zealand from offshore after acquiring Australia PR? Yes, you have to. First, you have to land in Australia because Australian state or 189 federal government has invited you to for the PR or for the any visa. So you have to first go Australia, arrive in Australia, and activate your visa, apply for all the registrations like the cards or the registration. Then you have to go through all the initial steps. Only after that you can think about moving to New Zealand in case you have an interest to move there because of any employment opportunity or any family ties. But without entering in Australia, you cannot move directly or travel directly to New Zealand for that purpose. Now let's take up the next one. Is from Myra. Last year they reduced the quota in the month of August. They didn't reduce the quota; they announced the quota in the month of August. So this year we are also expecting for the next financial year they will be working. The federal government will be doing all the process in the month of July and August, and they will be giving announcing that state nomination allocations quota to the states by the month of August or maximum by September. The chances for 491, 485 for software engineer. So as I have already given you the answer that the software engineer you need for software engineer you need to have 95 points for 491 subclass. Otherwise the chances would remain like medium, not high. Now the next question is from the tech guy. Any chance of developer programmer at 85 points for 190 and 491 in early next FY or this FY? Uh, 85 points for 190 are very good points for developer programmer, and it's also a very high priority occupation under the ICT sector. New South Wales and Victoria are really inviting this occupation at 85 or more points. So I am not sure in this financial year, but you definitely have a chance to get an invite in the next financial year. If you're an offshore applicant, you should definitely submit the EOIs for all the states. Otherwise, you can submit the EOI for the state in which you are currently residing in if you are an onshore applicant. Now, let's take up the next one. This is from Sailesh Besnet. I am RN, a registered nurse aged care with 70 points. Can I expect 189 this month, or this month 189 will only be for tradies? Well, we saw the 189 round last in the month of December 2023 that they invited a lot of registered nurses, a lot of school teachers, and a few community or social services in occupations. We so you should definitely be very hopeful if they will conduct a round in the month of June, or if they will conduct a round in the next financial year. The registered nurse at the aged care registered nurse at 70 point will have a very high chance. You have a very high chance of getting invited. The next question is from Chaitanya. Chances of management consulting at 85 points for 190, 90 points for 85 points for 190 and 90 points for 190. I am not sure. You have mentioned the same, or maybe you are talking about 85 for 189 and 90 for 190. Skilled partner 10 points in superior English, experience at 10 points, 7 years will be 8 years in June 2025. Well, good chances. So management consultant, I believe that this is such an occupation, obviously, which has very limited demand, but your points are good. I believe that the chances are fair, good at 90 points for 190. Specifically, if we talk about Victoria, or Australian Capital Territory for the Canberra matrix, or a management consultant can also be considered from Queensland or New South Wales. So I think if you're an offshore applicant, you should be hopeful in the next financial year, specifically when you will have additional 5 points from your work experience, when you will migrate from 10 points to 15 points in your work experience criteria by June 2025. I hope you might be able to get invited before June 2025. Now let's take up the next one. This is from M.A. Loida. What are the chances of accountants offshore for 189? Well, a lot of accountants have got the invite in the current financial year, not through 199, but through 190 and 491. So rather than focusing on 189 as an accountant, you should focus on the subclass 190 and 491 of the state nomination and regional nomination categories. If you have got enough points, like more than 85 points for 190 and more than 95 points for 491, as an accountant, you have great chances of invite in the next financial year. The next one is from Maruf Rehman. Maruf Rehman is asking, what are the chances of project administrator occupation in future rounds? Good points to consider for the same. Program or project administrator will remain in the in demand occupations because it is part of the infrastructure sector. So Victoria, New South Wales will have this occupation in their invitation rounds in the coming financial year, and Western Australia as well. So you should stay hopeful, and also you can consider this occupations advice from Queensland. The good points could be, again, as I say, that all the non-priority occupations, if you are a part of non-priority occupations occupational group, then you should have 85 points. You should be hopeful at 85 points for 190 and 491 for specifically when we talk about such occupations. For example, if we talk about other occupations like healthcare, education, or some special cases like construction project manager, some special cases like marketing specialist and the associated occupations, they can get even invited at 80 or 75 points for 190. But when we talk about other occupations, then 85 points, you should target 85 points for 190. Now let's take up the next one is from London Diaries Travel Experience and Tutorial. Hello sir, I am an overseas pharmacist and cleared CAPS exam and PDA. Okay, I think we have already covered your question. So let's move to the next one. This is from Hafsa Naveed. How to get the employer sponsored visa for offshore candidates. So Hafsa, what you need to do is you need to find a job in Australia. You can explore different online job portals for this purpose. For example, there are like Seek.com, there is like a LinkedIn, there is a JORA, then there is another one called Indeed, and there are many other you can explore about that. So to find a job in Australia is your first step. Then the employer from whom you are finding the job, the employer should be an eligible employer, eligible as standard business sponsor employer, which can actually sponsor an overseas candidate for an employer sponsored visa. So these are two conditions which you need to see. So first step is obviously to find an employment, which is for definitely a difficult and uphill task. But there are cases we have seen that people can get the employment in Australia directly from overseas. But it depends mainly on your skill set and your occupation, whether it is in the shortage list of occupations in Australia or not. So do some web research about it. Now the next one is from Dipen Jain. What are the chances for 80 points for 189 for software engineer or 80 points for 189 for developer programmer? Well, for 189, I would say that it all depends upon the next year, and in the next financial year, we are already seeing a reducing trend of 189 planning level. So I am not sure whether you should have hope for 189 for an ICT occupation. For 190 and 491, you should have high hopes. At 80 points for 189 means you would be having like 85 points for 190, 95 points for 191, and you should target New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia for an possible chance of invite as developer programmer as compared to software engineer, because developer programmer is still a high competition, but as compared to software engineer, the developer programmer has a bit edge, a slight edge in terms of competition. Now let's take up the next one. This is from Mudassir Abbas. Mudassir Abbas is asking, I'm a mechatronics engineer but having field experience of electrical engineering, with which technology I should go with. Is NATI will be included in next financial year for 5 points? I think we have already covered the second part of your question, that if NATI is going to remain in the next financial year or not. Let's take up the first part of your question, Mudassir, that as a mechatronics engineer and you have an experience of electrical engineer, you should go through the CDR pathway and apply as electrical engineer, because there is no direct occupation of mechatronics engineer. With only mechatronics engineer, people get the occupation of either engineering professionals, NEC, or engineering technologist. But electrical engineer is also a very good occupation under the engineering sector. So based on CDR, by applying through the CDR pathway, prepare your career episodes in a way that your work experience of electrical engineering can be reflected on those career episodes in your CDR, and get the and apply for the occupation of electrical engineer through Engineers Australia. Now let's take up the next one. Is from Dipen Jain again. What are the chances of 85 points for 189? I think we have already covered that developer programmer is a better case, and you should target the state nomination 190 and 491 rather than 189 in the next financial year. Now let's take up the next one. This is from Kesh S. Kesh S is asking. Okay, Kesh S is asking, I have lodged EOI and waiting with 85 points and mechanical engineer with since February 2024. Now I have applied for a position in my company where the post is in Victoria, and the company is likely to I have lodged EOI with 85 points since February 2024. Okay, I cannot see your complete question, but anyway, so Can you please resubmit or repost your question in the chat box? We will definitely cover your question. Now let's take up the next one is from Shehbaz Naeem, a pharmacy technician, 70 points. As I have already mentioned that the pharmacists and the pharmacy technicians both are having a high competition, will be having a high competition in the next financial year. So 70 points, I'm not sure if these are base points, but if you're talking about the points including state points, then these are not enough. If you are in excluding, if you're mentioning the 70 points excluding the state nomination points, then there could be a chance for 491. Now the next one is from Catalina, which has more chances, psychology versus social work for Victoria state nomination? Definitely, I would say that psychologist has higher chances as compared to social worker or community worker. There are many psychologist occupations like clinical psychologist, and then there is another called psychologist NEC. Then there are a few more. So it depends upon your specific psychologist field. However, we have seen in the even in the last 189 round that they have invited clinical psychologists and other psychologist occupations as well. So definitely you should prefer psychology field of study or field of work experience on social work field for Victorian state nomination as well. Now, the next one is from Shiraz Ahmed. I have done skill assessment for developer programmer. Should I submit the EOI now or should I wait for the new points table? What are the chances in the next FY? The developer programmer is a very good occupation to have. It has been invited since the previous financial year. We have seen the invites in the current financial year as well, and we are expecting the trend to remain the same in the next financial year for developer programmer. However, that there is a tough competition in the ICT sector occupation, specifically when we talk about software engineers and developer programmers. Now, if you are ready to submit your EY, first of all, you should not wait for the next financial year to start. You should submit the EY. Nevertheless, if any state will ask to resubmit the EY as a fresh EY for the current finance for the next financial year, you will simply be able to withdraw the existing EY for that state and submit a new one at that time. So currently, you can go for submission of your EYs for as developer programmer, and no need to wait for the new points test table. The next one is from Amir Sohail, chances for mechanical engineer at 75 plus 15 points for 491. Well, we have seen the invites at 85 points for 190. That means equivalent to like 95 points for 491 for mechanical engineers from Queensland, and not sure from New South Wales, but from Queensland. So benchmarking that, I believe that the chances would be not enough at 90 points for 491. Maybe you can try for like another 5 or 10 points if possible for you to have a very high chances in the next financial year for mechanical engineer. However, the next financial year, we are expecting that there could be more nomination allocations for the states, which could definitely bring the merit of chances of invite below than the current financial year. Now, let's take up the next one. This is from the Kesh. I think I have asked you to resubmit your question. Yingli123 is asking, South Australia recently closed for new applications for onshore candidates and applied as offshore this March. Does this mean they will start considering offshore candidates ROIs only from now on? No, it doesn't mean that. They have closed the ROI submission window, that you cannot submit a new ROI, similar to how Victoria has done. Victoria stopped the new ROI submission window recently, and now South Australia has also stopped the ROI submission window. It's applicable for both onshore and offshore. If you have already submitted your ROI, if you have already submitted your EOI, they will consider the existing applications in the pool. They will not allow the new applications, new ROIs to be submitted for the state nomination. This simply means, and also this is why they are doing it, because the state is about to be closed, because they already have enough applications to process as per the current financial year's planning levels quota. And now let's take up the next one. This is from Senthil Kumar. I would like to know what will be the realistic chances for production engineer with 75 points to have 189 or 190 Victoria nomination invite. Well, we have seen the invites for the production plant engineer at 80 or 85 points for 190. You have 180 points for 190. You should hope for 190 from Victoria. rather than having any hope for 189, to be honest, in the next financial year at 75 points. The next one is from Nadia Fawad. Is it sure that partner can contribute PTE points even after he is above 45 years of age? Yes, it is 100% sure, and legal advice that even if you have if your partner is above 45 years of age, he or she can contribute 5 points of English to your EOI. However, he or she cannot contribute the skills assessment 5 points to your EOI. This is as per the current rules. Now, the next one is from Edith Kuneka. What is the demand for metallurgist? 190 visa, 80 points. Are they enough to get invited? What can be the next round B? Well, we haven't seen much invites for metallurgist, to be honest. We have seen for materials engineer. So if you have the possibility of getting your skills assessment as materials engineer, you can go for that. Otherwise, metallurgist at 80 points for 190, the chances would remain like medium. It can take a lot of time to get an invite as compared to having higher or better chances at 85 or more points for the same occupation. Now, let's take up the next one is from Namal. Is it possible to start the RDA program again in the coming FY? Well, it all depends upon the state nomination allocations for NSW 491 in the next financial year. The current year, they had very few nomination allocations for their 491 program, and also using that 491 nomination allocations, the NSW has invited through two pathways, pathway 2 and pathway 1. Now they introduced the RDA similar to RDA program, pathway 1 for NSW 491, but they couldn't resume their RDA, the real RDA program for offshore applicants, as they introduced in the last financial year. So we are expecting that the state nominations for the next financial year for New South Wales would be better than the current financial year. Maybe if those will be like 1.5 times better, there could be a chance of RDA in the next financial year, in the second half of the next financial year, for offshore applicants by NSW. The next one is from Dr. Sareem Shafiq. As age on birth date changes, that is 32 to 33 points will be deducted automatically. Yes, it will be deducted automatically because you would have already declared and mentioned your age while submitting your EOI. So they calculate the age points using your date of birth in the EOI. The next one is from Namal, and please introduce CVSP Western Australia if possible. We have already introduced the CVSP program of Western Australia. You can go to our YouTube channel, and you can go to the videos library, and you will see a complete guidance video about the Western Australia's construction visa subsidy program over there, and you can watch that, and you will definitely understand all the guidance and the eligibility criteria for the CVSP program. We have already covered that and included that in our YouTube videos. And now the next one is from Namal Herath, QA manager with 80 points with proficient English. Do you think this stands a chance for an invitation? Well, quality assurance manager is a good occupation. We have seen the invites, but 80 points is going to be a very tough case because of the competition and limited demand and limited places. Now, if there will be a high number of allocations in the next financial year, you would definitely be having a chance. But with even if they will maintain the nomination allocations of the next financial year similar to the current one, then there would be I would say that the chances would not be high for this occupation. Now the next one is from Nadia Fawad again. Also, if someone applies in age 43 and didn't get invited till age 45, will EOI be functional or deleted from the system? EOI automatically becomes invalidated after 2 years, after 24 months of date of submission. So if you will not be invited till age 45, EOI will remain there, and it will automatically be invalidated after 2 years. So you will not be renewing or resubmitting your EOI, but it will remain in the system as invalid because of the date of submission. Or if you want, you can withdraw your EOI yourself as well in that case. Next one is from Sudhakar Reddy. Now the Sudhakar Reddy is asking, okay. Sudhakar Reddy is asking, what are the chances for NSW RDA pathway 2 this coming year? I think we have already covered the RDA question from the previous questions. The next one is from Fiji Jacob Philip. When will the new point system will come on age 41 years? Now, how much point I will get under new point system? Well, the new point system, they haven't been any changes proposed or disclosed by the Department of Home Affairs yet. We are expecting that they will be announcing about the new points system in the month of July, but the implementation can take a few months. I'm not sure what will happen with the age of 41, with the points of age of 41. For you should wait for the official word about it, because currently the age of 41 is contributing 15 points to EOI, and we do not know that how it will be changed in the new points test system. The next one is from Suhail Khan. 224999. So you are talking about information and organization professionals, NEC. Okay, so information and organization professionals, NEC occupation with 80 points, superior English. Any chance for 190 in the coming FY? If not, how do I increase my points? Is NATI being discarded? We have already covered the topic of NATI, that whether it is being discarded or not. You need to wait till July for that. However, you already have superior English, so you cannot do anything about the improvement through the English points. I'm not sure what are the other points breakdown you got from your 80 points. If your 80 points are base points, and the state points have to be added in it, then you should stay hopeful, because for this occupation, information and organization professionals, NEC, the good chances start from 85 points for 190. So I don't know whether you can get additional 5 points from your partner skills assessment, maybe, or through the work experience points if possible for you. The next one is from Sebal Madhur. I have 85 points for accountant, 95 points for 190, 105 points for 491. What are the chances? We submitted first EOI 2023 February with 65 points, and latest revised updated EOI in March 2024. Chances. Okay, so as I already mentioned, that accountant generally is a good occupation to have, and you should stay hopeful in the next financial year at 105 points for 491 and 95 points for 190. 85 points for 189. I think for 189 the chances would remain low, because they are not including any non-priority occupations in the 189 invitation rounds. However, for the 491 and 190, you should stay hopeful in the next financial year. Okay, so now the question is from Kesh. So Kesh, I think we couldn't consider your question previously, so you have resubmitted your question. So this is about, I have 85 points as a mechanical engineer since February 2024. Now my CEO might sponsor, my company might sponsor 482 visa. Okay, if I take it up and do not get green white from Victoria 491, will this be a bad decision? No, it will not be a bad decision. You should definitely go for employer sponsored 482 visa if they are ready to sponsor you, if they are eligible and a registered standard business sponsor. They should definitely, you should definitely take this opportunity of getting sponsorship and nominated as 482 visa, because this has also got a employer sponsored PR pathway through 186 in future. After 2 years, you can have a chance of converting your 482 to 186 through temporary residence transition stream. In the meantime, you can stay hopeful for your EOI submitted for skilled migration at 85 points for mechanical engineer. So this is a good decision to take up this employment with your company for 482 visa. The next one is, hi sir, I have submitted my EOI and ROI as an ECT with the points of 80 for 189, but my visa expired in end of August. Well, the timing is crucial. That by the end of August, if your visa is expiring, we are not expecting any invitation round by the start of the next financial year. There will not be any round in July. There could be a round in August, but if you're talking about 189, the Department of Home Affairs typically conduct a round in October, in the months of October or December. So the timing is crucial for you. So in this case, if you do not have any chance of extending your stay in Australia, you should go overseas and wait for an invite for 189 in the next financial year, because your occupation is definitely a very high priority occupation. The ECT we are talking about at 80 points for 189, you will receive an invite, but you will have to wait for the next 189 invitation round. So good luck for that. The next one is from Muhammad Ariful Islam. Hello, I have 75 points for ICT business analyst, currently residing in WA. What do you think are my chances for 189 and 190? So ICT business analyst is a good occupation, but 75 points. If you're talking about 75 points for 189 and 80 points for 190, I would say that try to get another 5 or 10 points for a good chances of invite as a Western Australia onshore resident, onshore applicant. Also, if you are in Western Australia graduate pathway, applicant, then you will have a higher chances of invite even at these points. But if you are working in Western Australia or a local Western Australia resident pathway, then you will have a tough chances at 75 points for 189 at ICT business analyst and 80 points for 190 as ICT business analyst from WA. Now the next one is from Hossam. After arriving in Australia for the first time on 1491, can I apply for a family tourist 600 for my mother before having work, even if I have to provide an evidence of enough money for me or she? Yes, you can apply for a visitor tourist stream visa for your mother. In fact, you will not apply. Your mother will have to apply herself for as the direct applicant of the visitor tourist stream visa subclass 600. But in that case, you will become a supporter, the financial supporter for your mother. You will have to write a letter of invitation in which you will have to declare all the financial or bank statement or the bank balance which could prove that you can support the financial, you can support your mother financially throughout the stay of your mother's visit in Australia. But I would recommend you to first arrive in Australia on 491, spend a few months, try to start your credit history by opening a bank account, by buying or some assets if possible, for renting or leasing some assets. Only after that you should apply for a visitor visa for your mother in order to have better chances. Otherwise there could be a problem with respect to genuine temporary entrant for your mother in the case of certain visa application from an overseas for a visitor visa. Now the next one is from Noisy Simple. Is there demand of chemical engineers in Australia, and how much minimum points needed for PR? Well, there is demand of chemical engineers, but we haven't seen much invites for chemical engineers. We have seen invites at 90 points for chemical engineers. You can target the states of South Australia and Victoria for chemical engineers invites, but minimum points required would be like 90 for chemical engineers. We are talking about 190. The next one is from Namal R 491 visa holders eligible for free TAFE programs. I'm not sure about it. You need to check from the TAFE website. I think the 491 visa holder, it varies from state to state as well, that a few states because as a 491 visa holder, you have the rights to study same as 190 or 189, but the fee applicable would be the fee of international student, because 491 visa is a temporary visa, a provisional visa as compared to a PR 190 or 189. For PR 190 or 189, the fee applied is a local student fee, whereas for 491 the fee would be for international student, for as an international student. Now you need to check from the TAFE website if there are some courses which are free of cost for all kinds of visa holders, then definitely that will be free of cost for you, your case as well. Now the next one is from Mitchell Hamad. The CPA declaration will be considered as third party evidence for the Engineers Australia, because they are asking for CPA declaration. If you're talking about the declaration from for the onshore tax assessment, I believe, if I am not wrong, then yes, that can work, because a CPA's assessment declaration, or the CPA's declaration of your income and all the expenses and your final tax assessment could be considered as a third party evidence. But the strongest third party evidence in this case would be the ATO's a statement which you have filed as a tax return as notice of assessment rather than a CPA declaration. That could serve as a supporting document, but it's not an official government issued document. So that could better to go for an official document issued by a government authority such as ATO in this case. And the next one is from memory. You just said teacher occupation is not in demand. Previous communication indicated secondary school teacher was in demand. Please, I didn't mention that teacher occupation is not in demand. I mentioned about private tutor and teacher. This is a separate occupation. We are not talking about the school teachers. So the private tutor and teacher is not in high demand. However, all the school teachers, the early childhood, the primary, the secondary school teacher, and even the middle school teacher, all these four categories, and special needs school teacher as well, all these categories are still having high demand and will remain so in the next financial year. The next one is from Ali Raza. I am a civil engineering professional, recently graduated, residing in NSW with 85 points for 190. Is there any chance for invite in the next financial year? I have got superior English. Yes, you have got a chance for invite in the next financial year as a civil engineer at 85 points from NSW in the next financial year through pathway 2. However, if you are currently working in any of the regional areas of NSW with a regional based employer of NSW, then you should also pursue the case of NSW pathway 1 for 491. However, if you want to target 190, then you can remain hopeful for that in the next financial year with 85 points. The next one is from Shiva. I am on bridging visa, bridging A visa. It's been 14 months since I applied 190 visa. For backup plan, should I apply and any other visa? All my documents are perfect that I submitted Occupational and Development Program. Why would you want to apply for another visa while your 190 visa is being processed, and on the basis of which you already have got a bridging visa A, and on the bridging visa A you have the work rights, you have all those conditions which are applicable for your 190 visa. So you can just continue your wait for your 190 visa grant, and 14 you have already passed 14 months and your visa is about to be granted, so you no need to go for another visa if you are sure and confident about the application which you have submitted for your 190 visa. The next one is from Uzair Qazi. What are the chances of production and plant engineer? I think we have covered the question already regarding production and plant engineer, that the chances for a good chances of production and plant engineer will start from 85 points for 190 and 95 points for 91, not below that, because even the mechanical engineers are struggling to receive an invite at 85 points. So production of plant engineer is not at par to like civil, electrical or mechanical engineer. It's like we can call it in the top 5 but not in the top 3. The top 3 are civil and electrical engineers, and after that there comes other engineering occupations. So the chances would be good at 85 or more points for 190 and 491. Now let's take up the next one. This is from um, Supriya Biswas. Biswas, please tell something about the chances of marketing specialist for the new 85 point. If you're talking about 85 points for 190, then you should be very hopeful for a possibility or the chances of invite in the next financial year, because marketing specialists, we have seen the applicants of marketing specialist being invited even at 80 points. So if you have got 85 points for 190, then you should stay hopeful in the next financial year. Next one is from Ubair Hamid. Do old previous years ROIs become invalid once new financial year starts, and do need to resubmit the ROIs again? No, the Victoria ROI, if you're talking about, that will not be invalidated automatically unless specifically asked by the Victoria state that they want the applicants to resubmit the ROI. You do not need to withdraw your existing ROI. The ROI can carry forward from one financial year to the next financial year. The next one is Muhammad Ijazul Haq. Hi sir, can we merge PTE scores of two different sittings within 1 month? No, you cannot merge the PTE scores of two different sittings because this option is only allowed for a special case of IELTS, where they allow the one skilled retake of IELTS, which is taken after within the 6 months of the first test. So that's not applicable for the PTE or the Pearson model. The next one is from Fiji Jacob Philip. Sir, can you show agriculture consultant backlog and number of invitations received? To be honest, we haven't seen any invites of agricultural consultant in the current financial year. Specifically, if we talk about New South Wales, New South Wales clearly mentioned at the start of the current financial year that the agriculture sector will remain in their priority, but they didn't invite a single agricultural consultant in the current financial year. There are people who got invited in the previous financial year, and the visas of those people are being processed in the current financial year. However, we haven't seen much in the current financial year. When we talk about the new invitations, you can expect that as the states will reopen in the next financial year, and we will also share the updates of the states priorities and preferences and the target sectors in our Facebook group. You can stay tuned in our Facebook group that which of the states would be prioritizing the agriculture sector in the next financial year for a hope of invite in the next financial year. The next one is from Slate Official. Sir, ROI कब ओपन होंगे? मेरी डिग्री एग्रीकल्चरल इंजीनियर है, इसका कोई टिप्स बता दें, किस स्टेट में करूं और आरओआई कब ओपन होगा? Again, I think we have already touched the topic of agricultural sector, that we will see that how the states will be prioritizing the sectors in the next financial year. However, the states will be reopening the ROI submission from the month of August. So you can expect in the month of August that you will be able to submit a new ROI for Victoria, from South Australia, similar to, but Canberra matrix is open for ACT, it will remain open, and Northern Territory will also commence their nomination program from the month of August or September. Now, the next one is from Yahya Javed Ahmad. I have a tourist visa with my wife. I am thinking of visiting alone and finding an employer for 482 in the first 2 months, or changing my visa to a student holding a tourist visa without 600. Holding a tourist visa without 600. I'm not sure what your question is, but I believe that you're talking about your plan to move as a single. You plan to move first yourself. You want to move to travel to Australia or to on your visitor visa, and you want to explore the market and to find an employment there in order to jump to a student visa, or in order to find an employer for a 482 visa nomination. So that's workable. You can go there first for first a couple of months, and then you can see the situation, and then only your wife can also travel on her visitor tourist visa. The next one is from Sibal, accountant, 189, 194, 91 points, 85, 95, and 105 chances. And when first EOI submitted in February 2023 with 189, 65 points, new EOI updated with the new points in March 2024. Waiting for, I think I already covered your question in the previous question. Your points are very good. Like, you should stay hopeful for 95 and 105 for points for 190 and 491 in the next financial year as an accountant. But this is a highly competitive occupation. So there are many people who are waiting at 85 and 105 points. 95 and 105 points. But your points are very good, to be honest. You should stay hopeful in the next financial year. I'm not sure when, but during the next financial year, in the states invitation rounds, you can receive an invite. So good luck for that. The next one is from Mudassir Abbas. 75 points is good for confirmed emigration in Australia and supply. No. 75 points are not good, to be honest. It depends upon your occupation. If you are talking about a high priority occupation, for example, either you are a school teacher, or you are in a healthcare profession, allied health profession, or a special health profession, or you are related to social services, I will not include that. I will only consider the education and the health sectors. Otherwise, if you are not belonging to these two sectors, then you should have more than 85 points for 190 for a good chance of invite. At 75 points, the chances aren't high. The next one is from Suhail Khan. A skill assessment based only on qualification. Yes, it is possible based on qualification only, but for certain occupation groups and the assessment authorities only. For example, if we talk about accountancy occupations, accountants, accountant general, taxation accountant, external auditor, and finance managers, those occupations can be assessed based on the relevant qualification only. Similarly, Engineers Australia assesses the occupations based on qualifications only as well, and their relevant skilled employment assessment is optional to do. But most of the occupations which are related to other soft skills and the other fields like marketing specialists and many other occupations assessed by VetAssess, you need to have at least 1 year of occupation with a relevant qualification to get a positive assessment from VetAssess. Similarly, ACS requires at least 2 years of occupation for ICT occupations, ICT related work experience. So it varies from state, from skills assessment authority to authority, and it depends upon your occupation. The next one is from Pankaj Shah. Is 85 points good for developer programmer for 491? Well, 85 points are okay for a developer programmer for 491 for offshore, but 95 points could be good for developer programmer for 491 for offshore applicants. The next one is from Muhammad Mahir Ali. Prediction for retail pharmacist occupation for next year. I think we have already covered that as the new financial year will start, we will see that how the state nomination allocations would be coming in from the Department of Home Affairs. If the state nomination allocations will be better than the current financial year, then the retail and hospital pharmacists will be prioritized in the next financial year, because this is part of the healthcare sector and a lot of people are waiting in the EOI pool of the states and the federal government and the ACT capital territory as well. So you can hope, but you need to wait till July that how the state nomination allocations are shaping up for the quota of the invitations. The next one is from Fahad Ali, chances of offshore production plant engineer, points with superior English and 5+ years of assessed experience. So we have already covered that if you have got like 90 points for 190 as production or plant engineer with superior English, you should stay hopeful, specifically when we talk about Queensland, New South Wales, and Victoria. These three states are good options for you. The next one, can offshore applicant apply for Western Australia and Tasmania 190 EOI without job contract offer in Western Australia? For Western Australia, for 190, you cannot. Similarly, for Tasmania 190, you cannot get your nomination approved even if you are pre-invited through 190 subclass by these two states. You should focus on 491 subclass for Western Australia and for Tasmania in case you do not have a job offer in your nominated occupation from these two states' employers. The next one is from Sudhakar Reddy, invitation chances for motor mechanic general, invert points for 118 and 194, 91 this year or next year. So motor mechanic general, we have seen this is a good occupation, good trade occupation. So we have seen invites of this occupation at like 75 or 80 points for 190. So if you are like 80 plus points for 190 or 491, you should stay hopeful. The next one is from Slate. I did masters in agricultural engineering and got 73 in PTE, 65+15 for state. 80 is good for agricultural engineering. But which state is best for my degree and when ROI will open? I think I have already answered your question that ROIs will reopen for submission in the month of August by Victoria and South Australia, or maybe by September. But the chances of invite as an agricultural engineer or as an agricultural consultant will depend upon the target of the states in the next financial year, which they will announce by July or August, that which state, which occupational sectors they will be targeting in the next financial year. So I'm not sure. Last year, this current year, the NSW was targeting agricultural sector, but they didn't invite a single agricultural sector occupation. We are hoping that NSW will invite in the next financial year, but 80 points for 491 are still not enough. You should target 90 points for 491 for better chances of invite in the next financial year. Next one is from Senthil Kumar. I can see few 2335 mechanical production engineers got invite for 189, 190 by 70 to 75 points last couple of years. What will be chances for 75 plus 5 points, 233513 in the coming FY? So 233513, you are talking about production of plant engineer. I think we have already covered that for 233513, you should stay hopeful if your points are more than 85 or 85 points for 190 or 491 in the coming financial year. You are referring to the 70 to 75 points invites for this financial year in the last years. In the last couple of years, you are talking about like FY 21, 22 and 22, 23. Those were the years, specifically when we talk about FY 22, 22, 23, the number of invites and the number of nomination allocations was a lot better than the current financial year, and that's why the merit of invitation was quite low, quite then compared to now. So no, but for the next financial year, you should stay hopeful at 85 points, not below that. Next one is from Ahmed Ishtiaq. How about university lecturer with 85 points for 190? A lot of university lecturers are also waiting for an invite, but your points 85 are good enough for NSW 190. So you should stay hopeful that there are chances for the next financial year. All depends upon how much nomination allocations will be given to New South Wales for their 190 and 491. So let's hope for the best for that case. The next one is from Sketch It Up. What are the chances of mechanical engineer in this or next FY? 85 points for 190. As I've already mentioned that you have got 85 points for 190. You should stay hopeful for mechanical engineer, specifically when we talk about Queensland and New South Wales. The next one is from Hamda Aslam. I am offshore pharmacist having 80 points for 190 and 90 for 491. What are my chances in the next financial year? What do you suggest? Should I submit EOI for states closed for this FY or not? First of all, I have already covered enough. We have given enough stress on the pharmacist occupations, and you must have heard that in order to have good chances of invite in the next financial year, if you are talking about retail, hospital, industrial, pharmacist, or pharmacy technician, you should target 85 points for 190, 95 points for 491, not below that because of the competition and limited places. Now, submitting an EOI is not a hurdle, is not a roadblock. You should submit an EOI now without waiting for the next financial year to start. The next one is from Uma Piamali. Western Australia chef will be removed or not? I have applied Western Australia with base 70 points. Okay, so I think this is a good question because many people are doubting that the core skills occupation list, which we have seen that they have given a draft of CSOL, the core skills occupation list. Now, CSOL is related to an employer-sponsored visa category. It's not directly related to skilled migration visa category. So when we talk about general skilled migration, there is a separate skilled occupation list which is available on the Department of Home Affairs website, which they are following and the states are following. Whereas the core skills occupation list is being developed and finalized for the employer-sponsored skills in demand visa, which they are going to announce in the next financial year. So do not mix these two. However, we also know that the Department of Home Affairs has a plan to revise their skilled occupation list already for 189, 190, and 491 visa categories, which they haven't started yet. They might be doing it in the background, but they haven't released any document with respect to that. So if you're considering the CSOL list to see whether your occupation is in that is either in the on list or the off list or for the further consultation list, you do not need to mix that with the general skilled migration category, and you should stay hopeful and confident that until and unless there is a change in the general skilled migration skilled occupation list, you do not need to fear or worry about your occupation's eligibility or ineligibility for the next financial year for the case of Western Australia if you're talking about chef. So you should stay hopeful for an invite from Western Australia with base 70 points in the next financial year. Now, the next one is from what are the chances of a telecommunication engineer with 85 points for 190 and when I can expect? Well, we have seen a few invites of telecommunications engineer with 85 points for 190 in the current financial year. But obviously a handful of invites only. You can expect an invite in the next financial year because telecommunications engineer is still going to be considered in the next financial year in the invitation rounds as per the trend. But we cannot say or predict when you can expect an invite. You should stay hopeful to receive an invite in the next financial year because your points are good enough. The next one is from Fakar. I am over with assessment. Should I launch EOI for all states now and ROI for the 4 states now? You can submit the EOI for all the states, for all the applicable states now, but you need to wait for the new financial year, the start of the nomination program by the states, specifically when we talk about Victoria, South Australia. You need to wait for their ROI submission window for the new financial year to submit their ROIs. Whereas for the ACT, you can submit the Canberra metrics even now. Whereas for the Northern Territory, you need to wait for their nomination window to open to submit their nomination application for the Northern Territory. Now the next one is from Ahmed Ishtiaq. Any chance for university lecturer 85 points for 190? I think we have already covered. Ubair Hamid, I am an expat in UAE. If I receive and accept an invite from Australia but get a job offer from another country, can I move there? Will this have any negative impact considering processing time is high? No worries, you can definitely move to another country if you will find a better opportunity to move for a job. What you need to do is once you will receive an invite, you will lodge your nomination, and then finally you will lodge your visa application. In case you move during your visa processing time, you just need to once you are moved to another country, another location, you just need to submit you just need to update your address details on your immigration account for your visa application, or you can submit a notification of change in circumstances on your immigration account that now your usual country of residence is changed from, let's suppose, from UAE to another country. That's what you need to do, and it will not have any negative impact. The next one is from Mohammed Zain Aslam. I am mechanical engineer on 476 in the Western Australia with 90 points for 491. Should I do 490 to increase chances of invite? Regarding NATI, I would suggest you to wait for another month, like in July. Let's wait for the official word about the NATI, the abolishment or no, either they are abolishing or not abolishing in the next financial year. So let's wait for that before taking a decision to book a test of NATI. That's what I could suggest. I would suggest you. The next one is from Anjana, why nowadays combined visa is too late? Well, for sure, when you are applying a combined visa, they are there is more documentation to verify for them. There is more scrutiny for them to do. Obviously, a visa applied as a single applicant as compared to a visa applied a combined visa application, the time for them to get that process through the system and a time to review and to finalize the outcome of the visa would be more for a combined visa, definitely because of the verification and the scrutiny process. Now the next one is as for the states you have the states which have closed ROI when they will open it, and should I think we have already covered the submitting for everyone. I would say that submitting an EOI is never stopped. You can submit an EOI even today, but for ROIs you need to wait for the state's announcement when they will be reopening their ROI submission window, which could be in the month of August or September. Typically, Victoria can open their ROI submission window from August, but you need to wait for that. But EOI you can submit even today once you are ready with your prerequisites. The next one is from Ahmad Ishtiaq. Any chance for university lecturer? Already covered. Haris Ahmad, what are good points for civil engineers for 190 and 491? For civil engineers, although it's a very, very high priority engineering occupation, from specifically when we talk about the states such as Western Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, South Australia, even Queensland, they all are inviting civil engineers. But to beat the competition, you need to have target like 90 points for 190 and 95 points for 491 for a better chance of invite for civil engineer occupation. The next one is from None. Sir, please elaborate the criteria how spouse points, except English points, can be obtained with respect to MLD, SSL, STSOL, and ROL in case of skills assessment has been done. So, so the criteria is like that. We, by the way, we have a complete video and about the guidance on how to claim partner points available on in our YouTube videos library. I would suggest you to go to our YouTube videos library and find that video with the title of how to claim partner points. You will clearly understand that what are the rules with respect to these three skilled occupation lists: MLT, SSL, STSOL, and ROL, while claiming the partner skills assessment points in the primary applicant CY. You should definitely watch that video to get your answer. The next one is from M. Naveen. I am a contract administrator with 80 points, Victoria with 140K package. Chances for next FY. Well, your annual earnings are good with respect to the Victoria's preference on the annual earnings for the ROI. However, the contract administrator, we haven't seen much invites for contract administrator. We have seen a few invites for contract administrator, similar to program and project administrator. With 80 points, if you're talking about 80 points for 190, then if you can add like 5 more points, then you can have a very good chance because your annual earnings are very good claimed in your ROI. However, if you are talking about 80 points for 190 for Victoria 190, there could be a chance in the next financial year, and we will have a better assessment of this case when we will have the state nomination allocations for Victoria in the next financial year, by the start of the next financial year. So this is your questions answered. The next one is from I'm not sure how to pronounce Henri de Grateful. Will construction occupations expected to be expedited for grants the next FY, as we see invites and visa processing being streamlined for tradies in the past few weeks? Could this be the same for civil engineers? Yes, for sure. So the priority of visa processing is being given, number one, to regional based employer sponsored visas, then regional based construction related trade occupations visas, and obviously healthcare and education occupations visas. And after that, you can consider the other construction related occupations such as civil engineers, construction project managers visas, and after that all the non-priority occupations and the 180 190s other category visas will be processed. So this is how the sorting of the visa processing is being evident from the trend of the visa processing. The next one is from V Rajput, AV Rajput, a ICT multimedia specialist, 0.85. How are the chances to get an invitation? And wife has 75 points for chemist. How are the chances for her? We are offshore. I think both have similar chances. However, ICT media multimedia specialist at 85 points have better chances, purely because of the higher points. But as a chemist, you can stay hopeful. I'm not sure at 75 points there would be a chance, but at 85 points, if your wife can reach up to 85 points, then there could be a chance as a chemist. But as ICT multimedia specialist, you should stay hopeful at 85 points in the next financial year as an offshore applicant. And I would advise you to submit the EOI for all the states in which your occupation code is eligible as per the state's skilled occupation list. And for this purpose, also we have a video available in our YouTube library, that how you can check how you can check the state's websites and their skilled occupations lists, where to see the eligibility of your occupation code for each of the states. The next one is from Michael Hamoud. I am offshore living in Lebanon. In Lebanon, they don't put the name of employer and employee in the same taxation papers. I submitted employment contract, payslips, cash, reference letter. Well, what you can do is you can download or extract the tax documentation from your whichever authority is there in the Lebanon for the taxation. You can download two documents. Number one is your annual income tax returns or the assessment document, and the number two is your registration document from the system. Now, the registration document, you must have declared which your employer's history. In that case, your employer's history or the name of employers can come in your registration document, and you can couple that document along with the tax assessment document and submit that together in order to claim your employment linked tax documentation, tax return documentation to show your annual income, taxation, and the employer details. The next one is from I already mentioned that this way you will be able to cover the Engineers Australia's requirement of employer name being shown in the tax assessment documents. The next one is from Mohammed Hamza. Which state is good for mining engineers? Currently, I'm living in Queensland and working as a surveyor in a mining company. Well, we haven't seen much invites as for the occupation of mining engineer, to be honest. But Western Australia is a good occupation. Western Australia is a good state for the chances of better chances of invite as mining engineer. So maybe you can explore the option of mining engineer. However, on the other hand, if you are already working in Queensland and you have a chance to get or secure a nomination from your sponsorship from your employer on the basis of your employment, then you can pursue the employer sponsored visas as well, and then continue towards the employer sponsored PR visa rather than pursuing the skilled migration for as a mining engineer. The next one is from Pankaj Shah. I have submitted EOI for developer programmer. I think we have already covered your answer, Pankaj. Sameet Sachdev is asking, my brother has an invite for NSW and waiting for grant. Maybe in next 12 to 14 months, can you guide on how he can help me? My age is 41. I have masters in management with 10 plus years of experience. Well, I'm not sure which subclass your brother has got from NSW, for which he is waiting for 12 to 14 months for the visa. If you're talking about 190, once he has got the visa granted and he's there and has established and settled in Australia in NSW, only then he will be able to sponsor you as an eligible relative, since you are his brother, for the 491 family stream. Otherwise, there is no advantage until the visa is granted and until he has arrived in and settled in Australia. The next one is from Ubair Hamid. If one gets a PR visa for whole family, including dependents, do all of them have to travel together? Can one of them travel before and can rest come after 3 2 months? Yes, totally possible. You can do so. You can you can travel first, and your family and members, the migrating family members, can travel after 3 to 4 months as well. There is no concern about that. The next one is from Shehzada Farooq. So, sir, how do you see chances of primary or middle school teacher with 0.65 to 75? I'm preparing for IELTS. Please guide about chances in next FY. So, there would the chances of invite for primary or middle school teacher would remain the same as in the current financial year. That is high priority chances, high chances because these are part of high priority occupation. Uh, Obviously, the chances are higher for early childhood education teachers and secondary school teachers, but primary or middle school teachers also have great chances, since you can if you can reach up to 75 points for 189, then you should go for it and you will have a good chances of invite. What we are now seeing is that uh, we will be uh, we will be talking about in the last 5 to 10 minutes of today's session. We will be talking about the changes which are expected in the next financial year with respect to the general skilled migration. So I would encourage everyone to stay tuned till the end of the live question and answer session today, as this might be our our May month's live question and answer session, and we will be conducting the next one at the start of the next financial year, maybe by the start of July. So we will be talking about the possible changes with respect to the general skilled migration in the last 5 minutes of today's session. We will quickly do a few more questions before wrapping up. The next one is from Amir Hamza. Sir, can I anticipate receiving the grant for a 190 visa application as a developer programmer for Queensland, which I launched on July 21, 2023? So, yes, you can anticipate, in maybe you might be getting the visa granted for your 190 visa application as a developer programmer as an onshore applicant. If you are talking about the onshore applicant, or I am not sure. So, but still, you can expect by the month of September your visa. The next one is from Muhammad Umar Khurram. What are the chances for industrial pharmacists at 90 points for 491? In which state should I focus? Well, if you are an offshore applicant, you should submit the UI for all the states. Number one. The chances of invite for industrial pharmacists at 90 points for 191 are not high, but okay chances because the competition is very high. The next one is 189 round happening anytime. We are expecting that there could, if Department of Home Affairs is planning to conduct a 189 round, they will conduct in the next 2 weeks for the current financial year. The next one is from Senthil Kumar. I am having 8+ years overseas experience and superior English. Will it have an edge of 190 Victoria or Queensland in white? 75 plus 5 for 233513. I think we have already discussed enough about the production or plant engineer occupation 233513. With having superior English, obviously you have an edge for Victoria and also for NSW because they prioritize the occupations, and the EOIs having superior English, and also the work experience of 8+ years is a great edge. On the other hand, for the Queensland, you have similar chances. So, for number one is that the production of plant engineer is not top three occupations of the engineering sector. However, we have seen this occupation is being invited at 85 or more points. So, if you are talking about 75 plus 5 points for 190, you are short of like 5 points. If you can try for getting additional 5 points in your EOI from for your occupation, then it could greatly enhance your chances for sure. The next one is from okay, we have talked about pharmacists enough. Okay, so Muhammad Umar Kuram, you are asking that what are the chances of industrial pharmacist offshore? Industrial pharmacist offshore, industrial pharmacist at 90 points for 491 and 80 points for 190. Which state should I focus? Only submitted ROI for Victoria, having 6 years of experience assessed by VETASIS. So but I think we have covered the point occupation of a pharmacist, like retail, hospital pharmacists. They are also waiting for an invite. Industrial pharmacists, and also many people are there who are waiting for an invite. Now, what we believe is that having 90 points for 491 is not bad. You can expect an invite from New South Wales or Victoria, or even from what we can say is that you can expect an invite from Queensland, possibly if that is eligible for your case. However, if you can add another 5 points, like 95 points for 491, 95 points for 190, then you will have solid chances of invite in the next financial year, because otherwise your profile is good enough as having you already hoping to having submitted an ROI for Victoria. Now, the next one is from JH. What are the chances of telecommunications network engineer standing at 85 for 191 visa? Well, to be honest, we haven't seen a single invite for telecommunications network engineer in the current financial year. This occupation was invited enough in the last financial year, but not in this financial year. We have seen invite of telecommunications engineer occupation code, but not the telecommunications network engineer. So there is a difference. If you can possibly get the skills assessment as telecommunications engineer in addition to your telecommunications network engineer from Engineers Australia, or you can pursue any occupation related to ICT sector from ACS if you have the relevant work experience. That could enhance your chances at the same points like 85 points for 491. However, as telecommunication network engineer, I would say that at 85 points for 491, the chances are not high. So you should either improve your chances, or else you need to look for the skills assessment occupation for another occupation such as engineering technologist or any ACS related occupation, otherwise telecommunications engineer. The next one is from Muhammad Kamran. Will they actually give 33,000 seats as per allocation planning? If you're talking about like 190 and 491, they have mentioned that they are going to allot a planning level quota or visa quota of 33,000 places for both 190 and 491 in the next financial year. Now, this question is very good, and we are going to talk about this in the last 5 minutes of today's session. So hold on to that. The next one is for Muhammad Kamran, industrial engineer, 491, 85 points. What are the chances of 24-25 financial year? Well, industrial engineer is definitely a good occupation, but 85 points for 491 are not enough, to be honest. You should try to get another 10 points if you want to have solid chance of invite in the next financial year. For industrial engineer, at 95 points for 491 could have better chances, but 85 points for 491, I'm not sure if the trend will continue as per the current financial year. Then the chances will remain low. If the nomination allocations would be high for the next financial year, then chances could be high. We will talk about the nomination allocations, expected nomination allocations in the last 5 minutes of today's session. As you have already mentioned, that there are 33,000 places or visa planning levels quota for 491 and 190, both in the announced in the budget. So we will take a couple of more questions before wrapping up, before giving you a final 5 minutes advice for the next financial year's expected changes in the planning levels and the nomination allocations. So the next question is from Temur Ali, mechanical engineer, 100 points for 190. Well, if you have got 100 points for 190, you should definitely be very, very hopeful, because 100 points for 190 is a great case. So I believe that if you have already submitted your EOI and the respective ROIs for the state in which you are residing, then you should stay hopeful to get an invite in the next financial year. If in the next financial year's early invitation rounds by the state, if that state will consider the mechanical engineer occupation in their next invitation round, that's also one of the conditions. But 100 points are great chances for 190 for mechanical engineer. The next one is from Senthil Kumar. Can we apply multiple EOIs for 190 with each state, or do we need to club it in single EOI? Well, the rule states that only 3 states allow multiple EOI submission, even for different subclasses and or even for different occupation codes. Number 1 is New South Wales. Number 2 is Australian Capital Territory, and number 3 is Western Australia. Now, except New South Wales, ACT, and WA, you cannot submit multiple EOIs. A few states like Queensland, South Australia, they have specifically mentioned on their website that you can only submit a single EOI if you want to include both subclasses in it. And for Victoria, they only allow a single EOI, single subclass based ROI. So you are submitting multiple EOIs will be having no use. Just submit a single EOI for the subclass you are targeting and link that EOI in the Victoria's ROI. And similarly for the Northern Territory and for the Tasmania, you are only allowed to submit, if you are an offshore applicant, you will be submitting an EOI in any case for the 491 only. And they also do not encourage the multiple EOIs for different subclasses. The last question for today's live question and answer session before the last 5 minutes wrap up. This is from Mary. What are the chances of architectural draftsperson with 75 points for 190 and 85 points for 491? So architectural draftsperson, civil engineering draftsperson, these two occupations are very, very good occupations. When we talk about the chances of invite from the states which are prioritizing infrastructure sector or building or construction sector. Now, as per various reports we have been reading, it is quite evident that Australian government and the states would be prioritizing and preferring the occupations related to construction industry, specifically when we talk about trades and draftspersons and technicians and technologists, as compared to other occupations in the next financial year, because of the shortage of houses and the buildings, because there will be a lot of infrastructure development in Australia in the next financial year. For that purpose, I believe that architectural draftsperson will remain one of a good priority occupation in the next financial year. However, I'm not sure about 190 for your case, but for 491 at 85 points, there could be chance. There could be fair chances. So with that note, thank you everyone for attending to and participating in today's live question and answer session of Australia Immigration Matters. We really appreciate and we expect that you all guys have got your answers. If any of the question is not attended, you are welcome to post your question in our Australian Immigration Matters Facebook group, and we will be continuing the support and the guidance as we do. And also we expect that before you guys are leaving from our live question and answer session, if you haven't done it already, then please do subscribe to our YouTube channel to support us. Now, in the last 5 minutes, let's talk about the next financial year's chances and next financial year's expected changes and all those doubts which we are seeing. Let's first talk about the current visa applications. As many people are asking that what will happen to the visa processing time. We are clearly seeing that from July till the month of May, the number of visas lodged have been reducing, whereas the number of visas being processed by the Department of Home Affairs has outbeaten the number of visas lodged. This was that the trend was inverse in the previous financial year. So definitely the backlog of all the general skilled migration visas and employer sponsored visas and global talent and distinguished talent and business innovation and investment visas is decreasing every passing month. We are also seeing all the reports with respect to the current on-hand visa applications. In a couple of days, by the next business working day, we will be sharing in our Facebook group about the remaining nomination allocations available with each state. So we will have a clear understanding that how much of the new nominations have been given, have been approved for the pre-invited EOIs, and there will be a clear indication that what will be the backlog at the start of the next financial year. The visas will processing will speed up from the month of July, as the new planning levels for all these visa subclasses will be given to the Department of Home Affairs to process all the backlog. So we are expecting that the backlog could be around 30 to 40,000 visas. We are talking about primary and secondary visas. It could be around 40,000 visas for 190. The backlog could be around similar for 491. There could be a little lower backlog, and the Department of Home Affairs will start from July with a processing speed of like 25,000 to 2,500 to 3,500 visas per month, and the backlog is expected to reduce because the number of invitations and the new visas lodged in the current financial year was very, very low as compared to the previous financial year. So this is about the visa processing. Now let's talk about the major changes which are expected, or the state nomination allocations which are expected in the next financial year. So the major changes we have already discussed in our live question and answer session, and we have been emphasizing enough that major changes are expected in the age points criteria, qualification points criteria, and the partner points criteria. And also there will be some adjustments in the work experience points criteria with respect to onshore and offshore applicants balance. And we are expecting that they might be abolishing study in regional Australia points, professional year program points. Not sure about NATI points. So this is about the expected changes in the EOI points test. And the last, I am going to talk about the next financial year's nomination allocations, chances of nomination allocations. So as we have seen in the recently released budget documents by Australian government, that they have just reduced the planning levels for the skilled visas by 5,000 places. Previously, it was 190,000 visa quota. Right now, it is 185,000 visa quota for the overall planning level for the skilled visas. And this obviously includes the family visas. So if we exclude the family visa, we are left with around we are left with around 132,000 planning level for the skill stream, which includes employer sponsored, skilled independent, regional, state, territory, nominated, business innovation and investment, global talent and distinguished talent. So what we are expecting is that, since as per the trend, they have increased the quota for employer sponsored, decreased the quota for 189, in fact halved the quota for 189, whereas for regional and state territory nominated, that is 491 and 190, they have kept the quota same. Now, since the number of invitations for the current financial years are low, and the number of visas lodged in the current financial year are low for 190 and 491 as compared to the previous financial year, we are expecting that the state nomination allocations for the next financial year could be better than the current financial year. In the current financial year, they allotted only 16,000 to 17,000 places to all the states for both 190 and 491. We are expecting that it could be 1.5 times better in the next financial year, about which we will be sharing the report and the updates and the official updates in our Facebook group. With that note, I would like to thank everyone who has attended and participated in today's live question and answer session. Keep supporting us and keep watching our YouTube channel, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done, to support us. And we will be happy to address the rest of the questions. If anyone's question has missed, we are happy to address those questions in our Facebook group. We will be coming up with another live information session, which will all about information with respect to the latest updates and breaking news in a couple of weeks. Till that note, goodbye and good luck, and God bless you all.